My lord, a hard-working man, cleared the large stone area while Rodrich, his supervisor, instructed the men to get to work. One of his colleagues recommended using magic and exclaimed that my lord must have flattened everything in an instant. The men couldn't believe that magic was being used for development. Before heading back, my lord informed Rodrich of his departure but asked for a moment to take care of another stone area using his magical abilities. Afterwards, my lord returned home, exhausted and greeted by the ladies and Elise. Seeing his tired state, they inquired about his day, and he narrated how Rodrich had once again pushed him to his limits. The ladies began teasing him, commenting on the topsy-turvy nature of his relationship with Rodrich, as if he were both their boss and slave. To be fair, no matter how far he goes, my lord remains a white-collar office worker at heart. Intrigued by the lady's remarks, he quickly excused himself, claiming that he needed to change his attire. Despite it being 10 years since my lord had worked in an office, changing wasn't an easy task. Despite his fatigue, he appeared at his home and prepared a meal of pork and rice. Just as he was about to eat, however, he dozed off and woke up as a 5-year-old eighth son named Wendland von Benno Baumeister. Living in his new form, my lord sought answers from his brother Erich about everything he was curious about, discovering that their family was poor. In response, his brothers had left home to forge their own destinies. My lord conducted some research to become acquainted with his new environment. One day, while perusing the library for ideas that could change the fate of his family, he stumbled upon an instruction manual for a magical aptitude crystal ball. The manual stated, "This crystal ball measures one's aptitude for magic." Curiosity sparked within him, and although he initially dismissed the manual as unserious about magic, he found himself engrossed and continued reading. Everyone possesses mana, but only 1 in thousands possesses enough mana to cast magic spells. Such individuals are extremely rare. Intrigued, my lord decided to try using the magic ball and discovered that it indeed shimmered, as instructed in the manual. With the revelation of his newfound powers, he ventured into the wilds to practice and encountered a great magician willing to train him and unlock his full potential. The magician, who desired a disciple more than money, offered to commence their lessons the following day after their initial meeting. However, he made a request of Wendland to keep their magic a secret. The revelation of his magical abilities could potentially lead to a succession dispute, as some retainers or subjects might argue that he should be the next lord. This piqued the curiosity of young Wendland. The magic training commenced until Wendland von Benno Baumeister discovered the truth about his master. He was a whispering dead. Despite the tragic revelation, the master urged Wendland to utilize everything he had learned and teach him the final trial, which involved purging the master himself. This magic was specifically designed to eliminate undead beings like him. The master was aware that Wendland possessed the power to destroy him. Although this ignited Wendland's curiosity, it had been 5 years since his master had turned into a whispering dead. This occurred because the magician did not wish to lose his sanity and transform into a zombie that preyed upon people. Holy magic shared a resemblance with the life force of creatures. Consequently, the magician instructed Wendland to visualize duplicating the life force within himself using mana. Although accepting the task of erasing his master was difficult for Wendland, he followed the instructions and shed tears once it was accomplished. Adventurer Academy is where Wendland von Benno Baumeister went for a scholarship, where he meets new young friends with special abilities just like himself. When he reached his first class, everyone introduced themselves and where they were coming from. The introduction went well until he surprised everyone by including his nickname and introducing himself. As time passed, everyone was grouped with suitable friends, but he was alone and eating alone. They spoke about him as that year's only magic scholarship student, Baumeister. This was because magic users are rare enough. Louise Jolland, Aurelia Line, Suzanne Hillenbrand, and their other friends planned to be better than him as a collaborative swordsman, martial artist, and spearwoman. They were seeking to be recognized by Wendland von Benno Baumeister, and he felt the same way. In the next class, the instructor was aware that some of them were not receiving stipends from their families. In that case, he offered part-time opportunities for them to earn a living. The academy recommended hunting in such cases, but since it was dangerous to hunt alone, he advised them to go in groups. Still, it was more difficult for him to find friends and hunt alone than anyone else could have imagined. He revealed his magic bag that concealed what he hunted. The next day, the group that wanted to win him into friendship went to the Forbidden Forest with their teacher. Before choosing to turn back, they were already surrounded by wolves. Luckily, Wendland von Benno Baumeister sensed them with his magic and rescued them. They ended up becoming friends after that incident. An adventurous journey took place as Wendland von Benno Baumeister and his friends made their way to his brother's wedding. They were riding a flying magic airship, which seemed safe until a dragon appeared. Wendland von Benno Baumeister bravely fought the dragon while his friends cheered him on. Eventually, he managed to defeat it and collected its bones along their journey. Upon reaching the capital, They were warmly welcomed by the king's knights, who invited the hero responsible for slaying the dragon. In honor of his achievement in slaying an ancient dragon and defending the lives of the airship passengers, the king graciously bestowed upon him the title of 6th-rank baronet. His companion reminded him of the pledge he had made, and he fulfilled it faithfully. Then, his companion engaged in negotiations concerning the ancient dragon bones and crystals. This revelation left Wendland speechless and astonished. After their departure, they proceeded with the preparations for his brother's wedding, where he resolved the problems that had been troubling his brothers. The wedding ceremony was a success, and they all gathered to share a meal with the guests after the wedding. This was when Wendland von Benno Baumeister invited Cardinal Hochheim to his place to discuss baptism. He expressed sincere gratitude for the invitation, despite his young age, to partake in a true baptism. He had heard that such a baptism was a great honor and a customary tradition. In appreciation, Wendland von Benno Baumeister brought an offering to the cardinal. In response, the cardinal asked God to bless Wendland and grant him protection. They engaged in conversation until the cardinal's beautiful granddaughter arrived, and he introduced her to Wendland. They discussed the desire for her to experience a normal marriage. In a jest, Wendland von Benno Baumeister jokingly mentioned marrying her, but Cardinal Hohenheim took it seriously and considered it an engagement. Wendland's offering impressed the cardinal, and he regarded him as a capable man despite his magical abilities. Cardinal Hohenheim always maintained that any man wishing to marry Lady Elizabeth should be at least a baron. However, he understood why Wendland von Benno Baumeister aspired to become Baron Baumeister. Despite gaining popularity, Wendland von Benno Baumeister felt uncomfortable and wished to distance himself from the limelight to fully enjoy the capital. Nevertheless, he remained true to himself and used magic to free himself and his friend. He then visited Elise to inquire about her feelings towards him. As time passed, they made arrangements for a dinner date the following day to get to know each other better, and even purchased a special engagement magical ring for her. This is when they are assigned to fight another dragon and other creatures, while his friends and the saint were helping the injured soldiers. Elise was anxious about Wendland von Benno Baumeister not being a hero. This made her scared, despite him and his fellow magicians winning the mission battle. Elise collapsed after the arrival of Wendland von Benno Baumeister. She was disturbed, thinking he was badly injured. When she regained consciousness, she told him about him not being a hero. Suddenly, his uncle appeared as the other magician, worried about his niece. This was extraordinary to Wendland von Benno Baumeister, and he screamed in surprise. Elise was under the impression that Wendland von Benno Baumeister was already engaged with Lena and Louise. That was not true. She assumed that since they were living together. Then he asked how she felt about concubines. She felt extremely normal about it. Then Lena and Louise asked him to marry them as well, which surprised him. He accepted them as well, which made them happy. There was another wedding for Wendland's brother, Helmut. He had a brotherly chat with his brothers. This is what Wendland was told about the tournament, since he drew attention to everyone. A martial arts tournament the kingdom hosts once every 3 years. Magic was forbidden in the tournament, and it was a contest of pure skill, after all. Wendland was concerned because he had no other means of fighting besides magic. His friends trained every day, and his male friend was a bit tired of being the only one with no magic. They were invited to participate in a martial arts tournament. The magician instructed them about the rules of the tournament. If they lost in the first round, they could bring disgrace to their lord. With that in mind, Lena and Louise left the conversation to go train without using magic. At first, Erwin thought that even if he were defeated, he had nothing to lose. The magician then asked him if he would still have the guts to say that he would be removed from his adventure party. He warned him to stop being naive about reality. The magician continued to explain how party comrades entrusted each other with their lives to achieve their goals. During dinner, Wendland informed his friend about Elise joining their party and about the tournament. The next day, they all started to train, though Wendland did not perform so well, reaching the tournament day with poor fighting abilities. Being the first, he failed, while watching his friends do their best while he slept, preparing something special to eat for them the whole night. Upon hearing this, Erwin wanted to do what he could to make Wendland proud. He kept on training to be the best and the winner, and he won his parts in the tournament, just as he claimed. Wendland's family did not care about the fame he gained in the capital because it had nothing to do with them out there. Sadly, the letter that Amalie received carried tragic news about Wendland, who had passed away while exploring ancient ruins. After years of harsh training with Elise's magician uncle, Wendland finally became an adult. On this day, he was very happy about the upcoming journeys and their registration as adventurers. Then suddenly, Brantag arrived with another assigned mission to go to the ancient ruins, a place rumored to be where warriors and adventurers never returned or survived. As they reached the deepest part of the ruins, they battled numerous magical soldiers and worked hand in hand to reach the dragon. The dragon proved to be incredibly powerful, and Brantag was on the verge of failure. That's when Elise used a spell called Miracle's Right to help Wendelin defeat the dragon. Their plan was successful, but they collapsed for some time. When they regained consciousness, they were able to find their way out. When they returned to the capital, they were each rewarded with 2 million. Wendelin desired to leave the capital since they had already given so much. He decided to base their adventures in Reichberg. It was then that he found out about the rumors of his death. Some people were fainting when they saw Wendelin returning from the mission. This made him curious, but Elise's uncle told him that success would often incur jealousy and envy from unknown people. He warned that they may be despised by those they don't even know. When he employed Rodrich, he was able to trace the source of the betrayal. It turned out to be Sir Ruckner who had spread the rumors. Before they could finish their conversation, a strange girl interrupted, desiring the food they had prepared for the guests. It was Wilma, Lord Marshal Edward's daughter. She possessed hero syndrome magic that enhanced her body at all times. After their conversation, Wendelin and his party returned to his home, where he surprised his family by being alive. The mission was to negotiate with his elder brother, Kurt, to help free the undead. This was very difficult because his brother had a stubborn attitude, but Wendelin still managed to convince him. Eventually, the relatives of the undead agreed to help in freeing their loved ones. Wendelin and his party accomplished their goal, allowing the undead to finally rest in peace. Then, Sir Kurt ordered that once the service was over, the people should hand over all the rusted armor and broken swords to their blacksmith, Eckhart. This was a tragic situation for the villagers since they didn't have the bodies of their relatives to bury. Wendelin intervened and stopped his older brother from giving such a rude command by using magic to provide the resources he desired. Kurt suggested letting Wendelin finish what he came for and deal with the people's concerns later, after he had left. As the ceremony was about to conclude, Wendelin and his group were ready to depart. Suddenly, one of the villagers followed him, asking if he could become the head of the territory since he understood the needs of the people. This conversation was frightening to Wendelin because he didn't want his father and brother to hear about it. Wendelin decided to become the lord of his homeland, and despite having a strong enmity with his brother, his friends supported him. Kurt, who was unwilling to negotiate, was eager to kill his brother because of the changes he wanted to bring to the city. Sir Ruckner took advantage of Kurt's anger by sending an ambush magical item that could assist Kurt in killing his brother. Kurt desired to murder his biological brother in order to attain the power of lordship. Sadly, he was deceived by one of Sir Ruckner's men who claimed to possess an ancient dragon flute that would aid him in killing his brother. Tragically, this deception led to Kurt's demise as he transformed into an undead creature upon blowing the flute to attack his younger brother. Wendelin and Elise, utilizing a holy magic spell, managed to free Kurt's spirit and safeguard themselves. Enraged, Kurt's spirit sought revenge against all the nobles who had deceived him. In the end, Wendelin was granted the reward of developing the place where he had grown up.